chosen one. But the moment they realized how wrong they were hit so hard that now they look dumb for never defending you, and suddenly everything is making sense. The same person who dismissed your intuition, mocked your warnings, and let others drag your name through the mud, is now being forced to admit you were right from the beginning. What's really eating them alive is this: every time they acknowledge your accuracy, they expose their own blindness. They didn't defend you, didn't respect you, didn't believe you, and now the whole situation is revealing who actually held the power all along. You've been developing your spiritual awareness while they were busy with surface-level living. You've been paying attention to energy while they were distracted by appearances. You've been listening to your inner voice while they were listening to people who don't know anything. You put in work on yourself that they never bothered to do. You studied patterns. You trusted your gut even when others questioned it. You protected your peace even when it made you look antisocial. You did the internal work that creates external clarity. There was a moment when you realized you couldn't operate the way everyone else operates. You couldn't just take people at face value. You couldn't ignore red flags because they were inconvenient. You couldn't pretend everything was fine when your spirit was screaming danger. So you started honoring what you felt even when you couldn't explain it logically. You started removing yourself from situations
Look towards
that
the
felt
light,
off
my
even
brothers,
when others said
and
you
hear
were
the words of
overreacting.
truth I
You
bring to
started
you this
trusting your
day.
first impression even when people tried to convince you otherwise later. This made you look strange to people who don't operate on your frequency. They thought you were judgmental when you were actually discerning. They thought you were negative when you were actually protective. They thought you were paranoid when you were actually perceptive. And the person who's now acknowledging your gifts was probably one of those people. They probably made you feel crazy for sensing things they couldn't sense. They probably told you to give people chances when your spirit was telling you to run. They'd probably accused you of overthinking when you were actually reading a situation accurately. But you kept developing anyway. You didn't let their doubt make you doubt yourself. You didn't abandon your intuition to make them comfortable. You didn't dumb yourself down to fit in with people operating on a lower frequency. You stayed true to what you knew, even when standing alone. And that commitment to your own spiritual development is exactly what created the gap between you and them. While they were stagnant, you were evolving. While they were blind, you were seeing. While they were getting played, you were 10 steps ahead. Now you're untouchable because you see everything. Someone can't lie to you without you feeling it. People can't fake their energy around you without you knowing. Situations can't blindside you because you sense them coming from a distance. You've become the one person in any room who knows what's really happening beneath the surface. And that makes you powerful in a way that threatens people who are still moving through life unconsciously. Something specific happened that forced this acknowledgement, and you need to understand the weight of it. Maybe you warned them about a particular person, and that person just got exposed for exactly what you said they were. Maybe you predicted a situation would fall apart, and it just collapsed spectacularly. Maybe you told them they were being manipulated, and they just discovered proof of the manipulation. Whatever it was undeniable, it was public, it was painful, and it was precisely what you said would happen. This wasn't a vague prediction that could be interpreted multiple ways. This was specific. You called out names, you identified tactics, you described outcomes, you gave them a roadmap of exactly how things would unfold, and they ignored the map and got lost anyway. Now they're standing in the wreckage of a situation you told them to avoid, and they can't pretend you didn't warn them. They can't rewrite history to make it seem like this came out of nowhere. You documented your concerns, you expressed your warnings, you tried to show them what you were seeing, and they dismissed all of it. The person or people you warned them about just revealed their true nature in a way that can't be explained away. Maybe someone they trusted betrayed them exactly how you predicted. Maybe a relationship you said was toxic just imploded in spectacular fashion. Maybe a business deal you had bad feelings about just turned out to be a scam. Maybe family members you sensed were manipulative just got exposed for playing games. The details don't matter as much as the pattern. You saw it coming. You said something. They didn't listen. And now they're dealing with consequences you would have helped them avoid. What makes this moment so powerful is that it's not just affecting them. Other people witnessed your warning. Other people heard you express concern. Other people watched them dismiss you. And now those same people are watching your prediction manifest in real time. This creates a shift in how everyone perceives you, because they can't deny what they're seeing. Your spiritual insight just got validated in front of an audience. Your credibility just went through the roof with people who probably underestimated you before. But there's something deeper happening here that connects to your purpose as a chosen one. This public validation of your gifts isn't random. It's strategic. The universe is positioning you for something bigger by making sure the right people recognize what you carry. When your spiritual mastery gets acknowledged by people who doubted it, doors open that were previously closed. Opportunities appear that weren't available before. Connections form with people who understand your value. This moment of acknowledgement is actually a setup for your next level of assignment. If you felt called by this message, hype this video so other chosen ones like you can be reached. By admitting you're a spiritual mastermind, they're admitting they've been operating with a handicap this whole time. They're confessing that you have access to information they don't. They're revealing that you move through the world with advantages they lack. And for someone who probably positioned themselves as the wise one, the intuitive one, the spiritually aware one, discovering you're operating on a completely different level is devastating. Think about all the times they probably acted like they had things figured out. All the times they gave advice like they knew better. All the times they made decisions with confidence like they could see clearly. Now they're being forced to admit that you were seeing things they completely missed. You were picking up on dynamics they were blind to. You were reading people they thought were trustworthy. You were sensing danger they walked right into. Their entire self-concept as someone with good judgment just got shattered because your track record proves you have better judgment. This creates a crisis for them, because they have to reconcile two competing realities. Either you got lucky with your predictions and they got unlucky with their blindness, or you actually possess gifts they don't have. And if you possess gifts they don't have, what else are you capable of that they've been underestimating? What other insights do you have that they should have been listening to? What opportunities did they miss by not taking your guidance seriously? The implications spiral out, and each one confirms that they fumbled something valuable by not recognizing your spiritual intelligence sooner. There's also a practical element to their distress. Now they need you. They need your insight. They need your ability to see what's coming. They need your discernment about people and situations, but they burned the bridge with you by dismissing your gifts when you tried to help them before. So they're stuck wanting access to your spiritual mastery while knowing they disqualified themselves from receiving it through their own arrogance. They're like someone who mocked a prophet and now needs a prophecy. The irony is thick and it's eating them alive. What really destroys them, though, is watching you be right while staying unbothered. You're not rubbing it in their face. You're not gloating about your accuracy. You're not demanding apologies or acknowledgement. You simply exist in your truth and power, completely unaffected by whether they recognize it or not. That unbothered energy is proof that your gifts are real, because real power doesn't need validation. Real spiritual mastery doesn't require applause. Real chosen ones don't perform for people who doubted them, and that quiet confidence is more devastating to them than any amount of boasting could be. This person wasn't alone in dismissing your spiritual gifts. They were part of a whole network of people who tried to make you doubt yourself. Family members who called you too sensitive, friends who said you were reading too much into things, associates who laughed at your intuition. This wasn't random. This was coordinated on a spiritual level, even if it wasn't consciously planned. When you're a chosen one with real gifts, there's always resistance from people operating on lower frequencies. This network functioned like a collective gaslighting machine. Every time you expressed something you sensed, someone was there to question it. Every time you warned about someone's energy, someone told you to give them a chance. Every time you removed yourself from a toxic situation, someone accused you of being judgmental or difficult. They created an environment where trusting your spiritual intelligence felt wrong, where using your gifts felt like you were causing problems, where being accurate about people felt like you were being negative. And the person now acknowledging your mastery was likely a key player in this dynamic. They probably reinforced the narrative that you were overreacting. They probably sided with people you were warning them about. They probably made you feel isolated for seeing what you saw. They chose to align with people who were spiritually blind rather than stand with someone who could actually see. And that choice is haunting them now because they're experiencing firsthand what happens when you ignore someone with real spiritual sight. The whole network is being exposed simultaneously. It's not just this one person recognizing your gifts. Multiple people are being forced to acknowledge that you were right about things they denied. The family member who called you dramatic is watching predictions come true. The friend who said you were paranoid is seeing the danger you warned about manifest. The associate who mocked your intuition just got blindsided by something you saw coming. Everyone who tried to dim your light is now standing in darkness wondering how they didn't see what was obvious to you. This mass exposure serves a purpose in your journey. It's clearing out everyone who can't handle your level of spiritual operation. It's removing people who will drag you down by making you question your gifts. It's creating space for connections with people who recognize your value from the start. It's establishing you as the spiritual authority you've always been so that moving forward, nobody gets to minimize what you carry. Let's be clear about what we're really talking about when we say spiritual mastermind. This isn't about reading astrology or having good intuition sometimes. This is about operating with a level of spiritual intelligence that allows you to navigate life from a position of divine insight. You're not guessing about people, you're reading their energy signature. You're not getting lucky with predictions. You're tapping into information that exists outside of physical perception. You're not just sensitive, you're spiritually attuned to frequencies most people can't even detect. You meet people and sense their intentions before they reveal them through actions. You enter situations and feel whether they're aligned with your path before any evidence appears. You pick up on shifts in energy that signal something is about to change before the change becomes visible. This isn't a skill you learned from books. This is a gift you were born with and have been developing through your commitment to spiritual growth. What makes you a mastermind specifically is that you don't just receive information, you understand what to do with it. You know when to speak and when to stay silent. You know when to act on what you sense and when to simply observe. You know how to protect yourself from energies that would drain others. You know how to move strategically based on spiritual intelligence rather than reacting emotionally to physical circumstances. You've mastered the art of living in the physical world while being guided by spiritual wisdom. This level of operation means you're never truly fooled. Someone can tell you an elaborate story, but you feel the holes in it. Someone can present themselves as one thing, but you see what they're hiding. Someone can scheme against you, but you sense it and move accordingly. Someone can try to manipulate you, but you're 10 steps ahead of their game. You exist in a state of spiritual awareness that makes you nearly impossible to deceive, because deception requires the target to be blind to what's real. The person acknowledging this about you is also acknowledging that you've been protecting yourself from things they never saw coming. You've been avoiding traps they walked right into. You've been making moves based on information they didn't have access to. You've been thriving while they were struggling because you could see the path clearly while they were stumbling in darkness. Your spiritual mastery isn't just about being right. It's about being protected, guided and positioned for success by forces they don't understand. Everything changes when spiritual mastery gets acknowledged publicly. The power dynamic between you and this person just shifted permanently. Before they could dismiss you, they could question your perceptions, they could act like their judgment was equal to or better than yours. They could position themselves as the authority in conversations about people or situations, but now that they've admitted you were right about everything, they've given up that position. They've acknowledged that your insight trumps their analysis, and that shift can never be reversed. You're now the one people will turn to when they need to understand what's really going on. You're the one whose opinion carries weight, because your track record proves your accuracy. You're the one who gets consulted before major decisions, because people recognize you see things they miss. This person who used to dismiss you now has to defer to you if they want access to the truth about situations they're involved in. They have to humble themselves to receive from someone they used to minimize. This creates a beautiful reversal, where you're no longer trying to convince anyone of anything. You don't have to defend your perceptions. You don't have to prove your gifts are real. You don't have to beg people to listen to your warnings. Your accuracy speaks for itself now. Your gift has been validated. Your spiritual authority has been established. Now people come to you seeking insight instead of you going to them, trying to help them see what you see. You're not using it to control or manipulate. You're not leveraging your spiritual mastery to make people dependent on you. You're not performing your gifts to gain followers or admiration. You simply exist in your truth and power, available to those who approach you correctly, but unbothered by those who don't. This is what real spiritual maturity looks like. The gift serves you first and others second, not the other way around. The person acknowledging you is experiencing this shift as a loss of standing. They used to be on equal footing with you in conversations. Now they're looking up to you whether they want to admit it or not. They used to be able to challenge your perspective. Now they have to consider that your perspective might be seeing something they're missing. They used to be confident in their own judgment. Now they second-guess themselves because your judgment has proven more reliable. This isn't about you lording it over them. This is just the natural consequence of truth being revealed. This acknowledgement was always going to happen because truth has a way of surfacing eventually. You can suppress it, you can deny it, you can try to explain it away. But when someone operates with genuine spiritual mastery, the evidence accumulates until it becomes undeniable. Every accurate prediction adds to the pile. Every warning that comes true adds to the proof. Every situation where you see clearly while others are blind adds to the testimony. Eventually the weight of evidence forces even the most stubborn doubter to acknowledge what's real. You've been building toward this moment through consistency. You didn't just have one lucky guess that happened to be right. You've demonstrated pattern after pattern of spiritual accuracy. You've shown time and again that you operate with information others don't have access to. You've proven through repeated examples that your gifts are real and reliable. This consistency is what makes the acknowledgement inevitable, because even people who want to deny your gifts eventually run out of alternative explanations. The universe has been positioning you for this moment by allowing doubters to face consequences for ignoring your warnings. Every time someone dismissed your intuition and then suffered for it, the lesson got reinforced. Every time someone questioned your spiritual sight and then got blindsided, the evidence mounted. Every time someone mocked your gifts and then needed those gifts, the irony became clearer. The universe has been teaching the people around you that underestimating you comes at a cost. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks, while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose, and the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. This moment also had to happen to launch you into your next assignment. You can't fully step into what you're called to do while being surrounded by people who minimize your gifts. You can't operate at full capacity while dealing with doubt from people who should be supporting you. You can't fulfill your purpose while being distracted by having to prove yourself to people who aren't on your level. This public acknowledgement clears the path by establishing your spiritual authority, so you can move forward without resistance from people who used to question you. What makes this inevitable acknowledgement so powerful is that it came from someone who resisted it. This wasn't someone predisposed to believe in spiritual gifts deciding you have them. This was someone who actively dismissed your gifts being forced by overwhelming evidence to admit they're real. That kind of acknowledgement carries more weight than praise from believers, because it proves your gifts can't be denied even by skeptics. It validates you in a way that removes all doubt about whether your spiritual mastery is genuine. On the surface it seems like they should be grateful. You tried to help them. You warned them. You shared your insights. They should appreciate that you were looking out for them even when they didn't listen. But appreciation isn't what you're getting. You're getting resentment. You're getting jealousy. You're getting hatred disguised as various other emotions, and you need to understand where that's coming from so you don't take it personally. They hate this for you because your spiritual mastery highlights their spiritual poverty. Every time your gift is acknowledged, their lack of that gift becomes more obvious. Every time your prediction comes true, their blindness becomes more evident. Every time your insight proves valuable, their inability to see feels more embarrassing. Your success at operating spiritually makes their failure to develop spiritually more glaring, and instead of being inspired to grow, they resent you for showing them what they lack. There's also a territorial element to their hatred. They probably had an identity built around being intuitive or aware or spiritually conscious. They probably positioned themselves as someone who understands energy or reads people well. Your spiritual mastery threatens that identity because it proves someone else is operating at a higher level in the area where they thought they excelled. You're not just good at what they're good at. You're better. And that superiority challenges their entire self-concept. The hatred intensifies because they can't compete with you in this arena. They can't develop overnight the spiritual gifts you've been cultivating for years or were born with. They can't suddenly start seeing what you see just because they want to. They can't fake the level of accuracy you demonstrate consistently. So they're stuck in a position of inferiority regarding something you make look effortless, and that powerlessness breeds resentment that gets directed at you, even though you didn't do anything to them except exist in your truth. What they really hate is that they need you now. They need your insight. They need your ability to see what's coming. They need your discernment about people and situations, but needing you means admitting you have something they lack. It means humbling themselves to receive from someone they used to dismiss. It means acknowledging that you're more spiritually advanced than they are, and that admission goes against their ego so violently that they hate you for putting them in a position where they have to make it. You're completely unbothered by their previous dismissal of your gifts. You're not angry that they didn't listen. You're not hurt that they mocked your intuition. You're not bitter about the times they made you feel crazy for sensing things they couldn't sense. You simply exist in your power and truth, totally unaffected by their journey to recognizing what you've always known about yourself, and that unbothered energy is more devastating to them than any anger or resentment could be. Your lack of reaction to their acknowledgement proves something that terrifies them. It proves you never needed their validation. It proves your confidence in your gifts isn't dependent on whether others recognize them. It proves you were operating from a place of internal knowing rather than seeking external approval. And if you never needed them to see your value, what does that say about their importance in your life? What does that say about how much their opinion matters to you? The realization that you're completely fine without their recognition strips them of any power they thought they had over you. You're not performing your gifts to prove anything to them now. You're not bringing up all the times you were right and they were wrong. You're not making them grovel or beg for access to your insight. You're just living your life, operating in your spiritual mastery, moving with divine guidance, and completely at peace with yourself. This unbothered confidence is attractive to others and repulsive to them because it highlights how pressed they are while you're pressure-free. It shows how much energy they're spending on you while you're not spending any on them. The fact that you're thriving without their acknowledgement makes the acknowledgement feel hollow to them. They finally admitted you're a spiritual mastermind, but you didn't celebrate. You didn't say "I told you so." You didn't even seem to care that much, because for you, this was never about them validating you. This was always about you walking in your truth regardless of who could see it. And that level of self-assurance is infuriating to someone who was counting on you being bothered by their previous dismissal. Your unbothered nature also prevents them from getting the emotional reaction they might be subconsciously seeking. They can't fight with you about it because you're not fighting back. They can't make you prove your gifts because you're not trying to prove anything. They can't diminish you because you're not seeking their approval. They're stuck with their jealousy and resentment and hatred, and nowhere to direct it because you refuse to engage with their negativity. You're operating on a frequency where their low vibrational responses can't touch you. So now that this person and potentially multiple people have acknowledged your spiritual mastery, what do you do with that recognition? First, you receive it as confirmation of what you already knew. This isn't new information to you. This is external validation of an internal truth. You've always known you operate with spiritual gifts. You've always trusted your intuition, even when others questioned it. You've always moved with divine guidance, even when it looked strange to people on the outside. This acknowledgement just confirms publicly what you've known privately. Second, you use this moment as a cleansing. Everyone who's been forced to acknowledge your gifts is being separated into categories. Some will receive the acknowledgement with humility and genuinely want to learn from you moving forward. Those people get access. Some will acknowledge it begrudgingly, while still harboring resentment. Those people get distance. Some will admit you were right while simultaneously trying to minimize your gifts. Those people get removed. This is your opportunity to reorganize your circle based on who can actually handle your level of spiritual operation. Third, you maintain your standards. Just because someone finally recognized your spiritual mastery doesn't mean they've earned their way back into your inner circle. Recognition is the bare minimum. What matters is how they move forward. Do they respect your insights now? Do they listen when you share guidance? Do they protect your gifts instead of exploiting them? Do they honor your boundaries around your spiritual energy? The acknowledgement opens the door to a conversation, but it doesn't guarantee restoration of relationship. Fourth, you protect your gift fiercely. Now that people recognize you're a spiritual mastermind, some will want to use you. They'll want you to read every situation for them. They'll want you to warn them about every person. They'll want you to guide every decision. But your gifts aren't a service you provide to anyone who acknowledges them. Your spiritual mastery serves your purpose first. You share insight when you're led to, not when people demand it. You operate on divine timing, not human convenience, and you never compromise your spiritual health to make others comfortable. Fifth, you step fully into your authority. This acknowledgement is permission from the universe to stop playing small, stop downplaying your gifts, stop making yourself more palatable to people who can't handle your light, stop dimming yourself to make others feel comfortable. You're a spiritual mastermind. You operate with divine intelligence. You see what others miss. You know what others don't. And you have a responsibility to honor that gift by using it boldly, in service of your purpose and the purposes of people aligned with your destiny. This whole journey from being dismissed to being acknowledged wasn't really about them at all. It was about you learning to trust yourself so completely that external validation becomes irrelevant. It was about you developing your gifts to the point where they can't be denied. It was about you walking in your truth with such consistency that even doubters eventually have to admit what's real. And now you're standing in a place of spiritual authority that nobody can take from you because it was never given to you by them in the first place. You forced this acknowledgement not through begging or performing, but through simply being who you are. You lived your truth. You trusted your gifts. You honored your intuition. You protected your peace. You maintained your standards. And the natural consequence of all that integrity is that your spiritual mastery became undeniable. This is how chosen ones operate, not by forcing others to see them, but by being so authentically powerful that blindness becomes impossible. The person who now acknowledges you is just one example of a larger pattern that's about to unfold in your life. As you step more fully into your spiritual authority, more people will be forced to recognize what you carry. More opportunities will open because people who need your gifts will find you. More doors will unlock because you're finally operating at the level you were always meant to function on. This acknowledgement is a signal that your season of being underestimated is over, and your season of being celebrated for your gifts is beginning. They hate this for you because they realize too late that you were the real deal all along. They hate that they could have been learning from you but chose to mock you instead. They hate that they could have had access to your insight but burned that bridge through their dismissal. They hate that you're flourishing without their support because it proves you never needed them in the first place. But their hatred is not your concern. Their regret is not your responsibility. Their journey to recognizing your gifts is separate from your journey of walking in those gifts with or without recognition. You're entering a chapter where spiritual mastery isn't just acknowledged. It's expected, it's valued, it's protected, it's honored. The people coming into your life from this point forward will recognize your gifts immediately and position themselves to support rather than suppress what you carry. The opportunities aligning with you will be designed for someone operating at your level of spiritual intelligence. The doors opening for you will be specifically for people who see beyond the physical into the spiritual realm. Everything is shifting in your favor because you stayed true to yourself, even when staying true meant standing alone. This is what victory looks like for a chosen one. Not loud celebration or public vindication, but quiet confidence in knowing you were always right about yourself. Not needing the person who dismissed you to validate you, but allowing their eventual acknowledgement to serve as confirmation for others who might have doubted. Not changing who you are to gain recognition, but being so authentically yourself that recognition becomes inevitable. You won by staying you, and that's the most powerful victory of all. So let them hate it for you. Let them struggle with their jealousy and resentment. Let them deal with the discomfort of acknowledging someone they underestimated. Meanwhile, you keep walking in your spiritual mastery. You keep operating with divine intelligence. You keep trusting your gifts. You keep moving with confidence. Because, chosen one, you just proved something to the universe and to everyone watching. You proved that real spiritual power doesn't need permission. You proved that authentic gifts can't be suppressed forever. You proved that truth always surfaces eventually. And most importantly, you proved that you're exactly who you've always said you were. A spiritual mastermind operating on a frequency most people can't comprehend. And now everyone knows it, whether they love it or hate it. Chosen one. They are devastated that their behavior backfired. So devastated that the very person who thought they could outsmart you is now in full-blown panic mode. The moment your clarity activated, their entire operation began to crumble, and the harder they dig, the more obvious their deception becomes. Now they're terrified because the countdown has already begun, and they finally realize they didn't outsmart you. You outgrew them. What nobody will admit out loud, but everyone knows deep in their soul is this: you showed up as an answered prayer. People literally wish for someone like you. They pray for loyalty like yours. They beg the universe for commitment like yours. They dream about love like yours. You were the wish fulfillment, exactly what was requested, precisely what was needed. Someone prayed for a person as fair as you, as truthful as you, as committed as you, as real as you. Then you walked into this life and gave everything asked for, everything claimed to be wanted, everything said to be needed. You were the complete package, the real deal. And what happened to that blessing? It got treated like trash. It got gambled away. It got risked repeatedly because someone refused to see the value standing directly in front of them. While you were being this wish fulfillment, while you were showing up with unconditional love, while you were pouring everything you had into this connection, something was happening behind your back, something you could not see yet, something that would not make sense until much later. This person was stuck on a hamster wheel, same behaviors repeating endlessly, same violations happening repeatedly, same disrespect occurring constantly, over and over and over. You started to notice this pattern. You began to see the predictability. You could tell when arguments would come. You knew when things would get strange. You saw passive aggression approaching days in advance. It became clockwork, a cycle that never broke. This person was not accidentally stuck in this pattern. There was commitment to staying on that wheel. There was determination to continue the same cycle. People surrounded this individual who kept them spinning. Family members, inner circle, all invested in maintaining the dysfunction, all comfortable with the chaos, all threatened by your standards. Your love exposed something nobody wanted revealed. If anyone acknowledged how real you were, how present you showed up, how committed you actually remained, then everyone would have to acknowledge the fakeness surrounding you. Everyone would have to face their own emptiness. Everyone would have to admit their own games. Nobody was ready for that level of honesty. So instead, pretending continued, faking continued, playing continued, and you got kept on rotation while next moves got figured out. But time was running out. You can only play games with someone like you for so long before consequences arrive. You only give so many chances before you are done. You only tolerate so much disrespect before something inside you shifts permanently. That shift terrifies people who took you for granted. Because once you are done, you are completely done. No coming back. No second chances. No explanations accepted. Dark whispers were spreading about you. Conversations were happening in rooms where you had no seat. Stories were getting twisted in circles you had no access to. And the person closest to you knew about it, either participated in it or allowed it to continue unchecked. Someone with a destructive mouth was running around creating false narratives, building cases, planting seeds of doubt, making you look bad to make themselves look good. This was not a solo mission. This was coordinated effort. Family members were involved. Inner circle was participating. Everyone was working together to create a distorted image of who you really are. The goal was clear: make you sad, make you broken, make you feel isolated. People were actually wishing for your downfall, hoping you would be crushed, wanting you to fail. And when things got difficult for you, when circumstances became challenging, celebrations happened. Glasses clinked over your struggles, laughter erupted about your pain. Victory was felt watching you go through hard times. You were picking up on patterns, you were noticing signs, your intuition was showing you things. Maybe you caught something unexpected. Maybe you overheard a conversation meant to stay private. Maybe pieces started clicking together in your mind. Whatever triggered it, you started waking up to reality. That awakening changed the entire game. Manipulators need blindness to succeed. Liars need belief to thrive. Game players need participation to continue. But you stopped playing. You started asking questions. You started connecting dots that did not add up. You started seeing patterns that revealed intentions, and that awareness terrified everyone involved. The behaviors being criticized in you, those were actually being demonstrated by your critics. The character flaws being pointed out, those were reflections in a mirror. Everything got projected onto you. You got made out to be the villain when you were actually the one being harmed. You got painted as difficult when you were simply setting boundaries. You got portrayed as unreasonable when you were just demanding basic respect. For a season, this false narrative worked. For a moment, people believed the distortion. Even you questioned yourself at times. That is how skilled the manipulation was. That is how practiced the deception had become. But you carry something that manipulation cannot touch. You have connection to truth that cannot be severed. You have discernment that cannot be fooled indefinitely. You have inner knowing that recognizes counterfeit every time. Now you could feel pressure building in the atmosphere. Something was about to explode. Someone was about to get blown off that hamster wheel. The universe had reached its limit. Time had run out. Consequences were coming, whether anyone was ready or not. Look at what was stacking up around you. Toxic patterns repeating endlessly. Dark whispers spreading continuously. Projection happening constantly. Gaslighting running rampant. An inner circle enabling everything. Family members participating in dysfunction. And sitting on top of all this chaos was rage, ready to explode. Pressure cooker energy about to blow. The same violations kept happening. Your boundaries kept getting crossed. Your trust kept getting broken. Your peace kept getting disturbed. Your mind kept getting played with, and you were expected to just accept it. You were supposed to love through it. Your commitment was assumed to be unconditional enough to tolerate anything. That assumption was completely wrong. Something shifted inside you that nobody anticipated. You stopped absorbing chaos. You stopped making excuses for destructive behavior. You stopped sacrificing your peace for someone else's comfort. You decided you were done being on that hamster wheel, and the moment you stepped off, the moment you chose yourself, the moment you walked away with your dignity intact, Everything started shaking for everyone involved. Now consequences were arriving that had never been experienced before. Real consequences, the kind that cannot be talked away or manipulated around or blamed on someone else. Behavior was backfiring, schemes were collapsing, lies were being exposed, and you got to watch it happen in real time with no involvement needed. If this message speaks to your soul, hype this video so other chosen ones can discover it. Memories started flooding back. Thoughts about how you showed up kept surfacing. Recollections of times you were there when no one else was. Remembrances of ways you provided support. Flashbacks of sacrifices you made. Visions of love you gave. And comparisons started happening. How you showed up versus how you got treated. The comparison was devastating. The reality was crushing. The truth was unbearable. But we have not reached the climax yet. Pressure is still building, while internal turmoil is mounting, while personal worlds are starting to crack, while consequences are beginning to surface. Something else is happening. People are starting to ask questions. Stories are not adding up anymore. The narrative is falling apart piece by piece, and panic is setting in because proof is needed, evidence is required. Something must support the lies told about you. That realization brings genuine terror. Searching for information has become desperate. Looking for evidence has become frantic. Trying to find anything that supports false narratives has become all-consuming. And nothing is being found. Because nothing exists. Because everything was fabricated. While this desperate search continues, while scrambling intensifies, while time runs out faster, something else is happening simultaneously. Reminiscing has begun. Remembering has started. Thinking about you has become constant. About your commitment. About your loyalty.
Look towards the light, my brothers,
when it mattered,
and hear the words of truth I bring to you this day.
This is the moment. This is the realization. This is when everything hits at once like a freight train. You always get pointed back to. Every relationship that comes after you gets compared to you. Every person encountered gets measured against your standard. Every connection attempted falls short because it cannot match what existed with you. You are the reference point that can never be escaped. The presence that haunts every future attempt at love. Now a terrible truth must be faced. Your standards were never too high. You did not demand too much. You did not ask for impossible things. Actually, you did not ask for enough. Settling for games happened when something real was available. Choosing dysfunction happened when peace was possible. Picking chaos happened when stability was offered. And now this truth is known. Now this reality is felt. Now this regret is lived with every single day. But that clock keeps ticking. Time keeps running out. Because while nostalgia drowns everything, while memories suffocate everything, while regret consumes everything, truth is coming with unstoppable force. People are asking questions that demand answers. Inner circles are starting to distance themselves. Support systems are crumbling rapidly. Someone needs to step up and validate the lies. Someone needs to come forward with information. Someone needs to provide salvation from exposure. But nobody is coming forward. The rescuers who were counted on are not showing up. The people who were expected to provide backup are backing away instead. The individuals who were supposed to lie on command are choosing silence, because everyone can see truth now. Everyone understands what really happened. Everyone recognizes who was really who, and nobody wants to go down when everything collapses. So searching continues, looking continues, trying to find something, anything that will support false stories continues with increasing desperation. But you outsmarted everyone without even trying. You defeated everyone by simply being authentic. You won by walking in truth, and now everyone must sit with the reality that something real got destroyed for something fake, something valuable got gambled for something worthless, gold got thrown away while being mistaken for ordinary, when everyone knew it was rare. Then it happens. The pressure cooker explodes. The hamster wheel shatters into pieces. The tower falls. Everything built on lies comes crashing down in one devastating moment. This is the climax. This is the breaking point. This is when divine justice makes its move and no reversal is possible. Someone finally speaks up. Someone who knew truth steps forward. Someone who had receipts provides them. Someone who witnessed everything testifies, and just like that, the whole operation gets exposed. The dark whispers get revealed, the lies get uncovered, the manipulation gets made plain for everyone to see, and everyone involved is standing in wreckage with no defense, no excuse, no way out. Inner circles scatter like roaches when lights come on. People who were bold in supporting lies suddenly cannot be reached. Individuals who were confident in their stance are mysteriously quiet. Friends who claimed ride or die status are suddenly busy elsewhere. Family members who were enabling everything are claiming ignorance. Nobody wants association with this disaster now. Nobody wants names attached to this failure. Nobody wants to go down with sinking ships. The person at the center of everything is devastated, absolutely crushed, because everything is coming out into the open. Every lie told, every story twisted, every person manipulated, every boundary violated, every moment you got taken for granted, every time dysfunction got chosen over devotion, all of it, exposed, undeniable, permanent. But here is where intensity increases even more. Remember those dark whispers. Remember what was being wished on you. Remember how people wanted you sad, broken, feeling isolated, completely crushed. All of that is manifesting in the lives of those who wished it now. Everything attempted to be put on you is landing on them instead. The backfire is complete. The karma is delivered. The consequences have arrived. People wanted you to look bad. Now looking terrible is their reality. People wanted you isolated. Now being alone is their experience. People wanted you to fail. Now failing is their situation. People wanted you broken. Now being shattered is their condition. People wanted you to feel rejection pain. Now experiencing it is their daily life. Everything thrown at you has boomeranged back and hit with twice the force. And you are standing tall. You are at peace. You are whole. You are free. You did not have to defend yourself. You did not have to argue your case. You did not have to prove anything to anyone. Your life became your testimony. Your character spoke for itself. Your truth prevailed without you having to fight for it. Because that is what happens when you are protected. That is what happens when you are covered. That is what happens when you walk in complete integrity. Sleep has become impossible for those who plotted. Peace has vanished completely. Anxiety runs through everything constantly. Stress overwhelms every moment. Conversations replay endlessly in minds. Every moment gets examined. Every choice gets questioned. And there is no escape from truth. Attempts at coping are failing. Drinking does not numb anything. Distractions do not ease anything. Denial does not change anything. Reality presses down like a weight that cannot be lifted. Something real got destroyed. Someone irreplaceable got lost. Everything got gambled and lost. And there is no undo button, no reset option, no way to go back in time. You are being watched thriving. You are being observed healing. You are being witnessed growing. You are being seen glowing. You are being noticed at peace. And this destroys everyone who expected the opposite. Anticipation was that you would fall apart. Assumption was that you needed what you left. Belief was that you could not make it alone. But you are proving every wrong assumption wrong with every single day. You are not just surviving what happened. You are thriving beyond what happened. You are not just getting by day to day. You are leveling up continuously. You are not just existing through the motions. You are living fully and completely. And that reality devastates those watching more than any words you could ever speak. Your success is your vindication. Your peace is your power. Your growth is your victory. And observation must happen from a distance, with full knowledge that participation could have happened, but chaos got chosen instead. Bridges are burning in every direction around those who opposed you. People thought to be solid are proving to be situational. Relationships assumed to be genuine are revealing superficiality. Support counted on is evaporating into nothing. And with each connection that breaks, with each person that walks away, with each bridge that burns, isolation increases, loneliness grows, awareness of what got lost when you got lost becomes clearer. But remember what got established at the beginning. Remember your position as the reference point. Watch how this plays out going forward. Attempts to move on will happen. New relationships will be pursued. New connections will be attempted. And every single time, comparisons to what existed with you will happen. Every new person will fall short of your standard. Every new situation will feel empty compared to what was. Every new attempt will remind everyone of what real love actually felt like. And that comparison will haunt everyone involved for the rest of their lives. This is not about you being vindictive toward anyone. This is not about you wanting suffering for anyone. This is simply natural consequence of losing someone rare. When you experience something real and then try to settle for imitation, nothing ever feels right again. When you taste authentic love and then try to accept counterfeit affection, you always know the difference. When you have someone who shows up fully and then try to deal with someone who only gives partially, the gap becomes too obvious to ever ignore. Reaching out will be attempted. Calls will be tried. Conversations will be requested. Explanations will be offered. Another chance will be begged for. Your support will be needed. Your help will be requested. Your gifts will be wanted. Your mind will be needed. Your wisdom will be sought. Funny how all of that gets needed now when it got downplayed before. Discussion about cutting off toxic people will be wanted. Talk about leaving toxic environments will be attempted. Your advice on dealing with chaos will be requested. The irony is thick enough to cut. The audacity is stunning beyond belief. The nerve is absolutely unbelievable. But this is how things always work. People do not value what exists until it disappears. Gifts do not get appreciated until they get lost. Blessings do not get recognized until they walk away. Gaslighting happened about hidden secrets. Things were known that never got told. Participation happened in things that never got admitted. Permission was given for things that never got addressed. And now everything is coming out. Now truth is surfacing. Now secrets are being revealed. And getting ahead of it becomes priority. Controlling the narrative becomes essential. Explaining before you hear from someone else becomes urgent. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random. And if you're paying attention, you can feel it. Their walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity, and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired, while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today, and watch divine justice accelerated in your life. Link in the description, but you already know everything. You picked up on patterns. Your intuition showed you reality. Your discernment revealed truth. Your spirit exposed deception. You saw the signs clearly. You connected the dots accurately. You understood what was happening completely. And that is exactly why you are not interested in explanations. That is precisely why you do not want to hear excuses. That is specifically why phone calls go to voicemail. That is definitively why messages get left on read, because you learned something powerful through this entire experience. You learned that not everyone deserves access to you. You learned that your energy is precious and requires protection. You learned that your time is valuable and should not get wasted. You learned that your peace is priceless and should never be compromised. You learned that closure is something you give yourself, not something you need from someone else. Gifts want to be given. Gestures want to be made. Tokens want to be presented. Something to show selflessness is being prepared. Something to prove change has happened is being crafted. Something to demonstrate understanding has arrived is being created. But you do not need any gifts. You do not require any gestures. You are not moved by any tokens, because you have something no gift can match. You have yourself back. You have your peace back. You have your power back. You have your life back. And that is worth infinitely more than any gift that could be offered. That is more valuable than any gesture that could be made. That is more precious than any token that could be presented. You walked away from dysfunction and into freedom. You left chaos and found peace. You released toxicity and embraced wholeness. And no phone call, no explanation, no apology can compete with what you have now. Let me reveal what you gained through this process. Because you are not the same person who entered this situation. You have been transformed completely. You have been refined thoroughly. You have been elevated permanently. And the version of you standing here now would never tolerate what the old you once accepted. This situation taught you discernment like nothing else could have taught you. You can spot manipulation now before it fully forms. You can recognize gaslighting in its earliest stages. You can identify toxic patterns from a distance. You can see through false narratives immediately. You can detect inauthentic energy the moment it enters your space. Your radar has been calibrated precisely. Your intuition has been sharpened completely. Your awareness has been heightened permanently. You learned that your patience is not weakness worth exploiting. Your understanding is not foolishness worth taking advantage of. Your commitment is not desperation worth manipulating. Your love is not a character flaw worth mocking. These are strengths. These are gifts. These are superpowers. The problem was never you having these qualities. The problem was others not being worthy of receiving them. The problem was others not being mature enough to honor them. The problem was others not being evolved enough to reciprocate them. And you learned something even more powerful about yourself. You learned that walking away is not giving up on something good. Setting boundaries is not being difficult for no reason. Protecting your peace is not being selfish without cause. Choosing yourself is not being wrong about anything. You learned that you can love someone deeply and still leave them completely. You can care about someone genuinely and still cut them off entirely. You can have history with someone and still create distance. You can recognize potential in someone and still refuse to wait for them to reach it. Your standards are higher now than ever before. Not because you are being unreasonable, not because you are being too picky, not because you are being unnecessarily difficult, but because you finally understand your value completely. You finally recognize your worth accurately. You finally see what you bring to the table clearly, and you are no longer willing to settle for crumbs when you are offering a feast. The way you love has not changed at its core. You still love with that same intensity, that same commitment, that same depth, that same authenticity. But now you are selective about who receives it. Now you are careful about who gets access to it. Now you are protective of who experiences it, because you learned that not everyone deserves it. Not everyone can handle it. Not everyone will honor it. This transformation is permanent and irreversible. There is no going back to who you were before. There is no returning to what you once accepted. There is no reverting to old patterns that harmed you. You have crossed a threshold that cannot be uncrossed. You have passed through a doorway that only opens one way. You have entered a new dimension of self-awareness and self-respect, and the old version of you no longer exists anywhere. While others deal with consequences, you are being positioned for blessings. While others experience loss, you are being set up for gain. While others watch things fall apart, you are about to see things come together in ways you never imagined possible. Everything that got blocked is being released to you. Every door that got closed is being opened by a force nobody can fight. Every opportunity that got sabotaged is being restored to you multiplied. Every blessing that got cursed is being activated in your life right now. The universe is not just giving back what got taken. The universe is giving back what got taken plus substantial increase. You are about to connect with people who actually deserve access to you. Individuals who recognize your value without you having to prove it repeatedly. Humans who appreciate your loyalty without testing it constantly. Souls who honor your commitment without taking it for granted. Energies who match what you bring without you having to beg for reciprocity. New opportunities are coming that align with who you have become. Doors are opening that fit your elevated standards perfectly. Possibilities are emerging that match your transformed energy completely. And the beautiful part, none of it requires you to compromise anything. None of it demands you to settle for less. None of it asks you to shrink yourself. You get to show up fully as who you are and be celebrated for exactly that. You do not gloat about anything. You do not need to. Your life is the statement. You do not argue with anyone. You do not need to. Your peace is the proof. You do not defend yourself to anyone. You do not need to. Your character speaks louder than any words ever could. You simply keep being exactly who you are. Keep growing, keep glowing, keep rising, keep winning. When reaching out gets attempted, and it will, you do not owe your time to anyone. When explanations get offered, and attempts will be made, you do not owe your attention to anyone. When closure gets sought, and it will be needed, you do not owe that to anyone either, because closure is something you give yourself. Resolution is something you create internally. Peace is something you cultivate independently. You have learned to be ruthlessly protective of your energy, unapologetically selective about your circle, uncompromisingly clear about your boundaries, undeniably confident in your standards, and anyone who has a problem with any of that can stay exactly where they are, outside your space, outside your peace, outside your life. The beautiful thing about this position you hold now, you are completely free. Free from drama that was not yours, free from chaos you did not create, free from manipulation you did not deserve, free from games you did not start, free from cycles you did not need, free from dysfunction you did not cause, and that freedom is worth more than anything that could ever be offered. That peace is more valuable than any explanation that could ever be given. You walk differently now, you talk differently now, you move differently now. There is authority in your step, confidence in your voice, power in your presence. People can sense it when you speak. People can see it in how you carry yourself. You are not the same person who accepted less than deserved. You are transformed. You are elevated. You are untouchable. Searching continues even now. Looking for information that does not exist continues desperately. Trying to validate lies continues frantically. Hoping someone will step up and provide salvation from exposure continues futilely. But time has run completely out. The clock hit zero. The deadline passed, and everyone is left standing in wreckage of their own making, looking at you thriving in the distance, understanding finally and completely what got lost. You outsmarted everyone without even trying. You won by simply being authentic. You defeated everyone by walking in truth. You dominated by choosing peace. And now everyone must live with the reality that the best thing that ever happened to them got destroyed by their own hands. Gold got gambled, thinking it was ordinary. Rare got thrown away, thinking it could be found again. A blessing got treated like a burden, and the consequences of that will follow everyone involved forever. Because here is what cannot be escaped by anyone. Every relationship attempted after you will be compared to you. Every person encountered will be measured against your standard. Every connection tried will fall short because it cannot match what existed with you. You are the presence that haunts every future possibility. You are the standard that ruins every other option. You are the reference point that can never be escaped by anyone who knew you. And you are free to live fully without restraint, free to love again when you are ready, free to trust again when it gets earned, free to open your heart again when it becomes safe. But this time, you move with wisdom gained. This time, you operate with discernment sharpened. This time, you show up with clear boundaries established. This time, you love with your eyes wide open. Your standards are not too high for the right person. You did not ask for too much from anyone. You did not demand the impossible from anyone. You simply required basic respect, genuine loyalty, authentic commitment, and real love. And if that feels like too much for someone, then that person is not your person. If that feels like pressure to someone, then that person is not your match. If that seems unreasonable to someone, then that person is not your blessing. The person who is meant for you will not feel burdened by your standards. That person will feel grateful to meet someone with them. That person will not be intimidated by your boundaries. That person will be relieved you have them. That person will not be threatened by your growth. That person will be inspired by it. That person will not take your love for granted. That person will cherish it like the rare gift it truly is. And until that person comes into your life, you are perfectly content being exactly where you are. whole, healed, free, strong, wise, powerful, protected, blessed. You do not need anyone to complete you. You do not need someone to validate you. You do not need a relationship to define you. You are complete as you are, and anyone who gets access to you from this point forward better recognize that fact immediately. So keep your head up high, keep your standards elevated, keep your boundaries strong, keep your peace protected, keep your energy guarded, keep your heart open to what is right while staying closed to what is wrong. Keep being the reference point, keep being the standard, keep being the rare, keep being the real. Everyone will remember you forever, not because you tried to be memorable, but because you were real in a world full of fake, because you were loyal in a world full of betrayal, because you were committed in a world full of games, because you loved authentically in a world full of pretenders. That is the power of being a chosen one. And now everyone knows. Now everyone understands. Now everyone recognizes what they had and what they lost. And everyone will carry that knowledge for the rest of their life. While you get to walk away from this chapter free, whole, healed, and ready for everything that has been prepared for you since before you were born. Welcome to your power, chosen one. Welcome to your elevation. Welcome to the rest of your life. It is going to be extraordinary.